Black Mirror time once again, and I'm kicking off the second season with Be Right Back. Now, in case you haven't been watching my reviews of these things, there will be spoilers. That's why I put it in the title. So, this one was not as gut-punching to me as I'm sure it probably would have been for some people. I mean, I've lost people in my life, but not people that I've had the kind of relationship that these two characters had. That said, I mean, I did choke up at a few points. What this one is sad. This one is sad, as opposed to, traumatizing or disturbing or unnerving. It's just sad. And it does that effectively. So when I say it doesn't have a gut punch, what I mean by that is it doesn't have a single moment that's like the, twist the knife kind of thing. That's not really here. It's more just spread out across and sort of, there are certain moments where it sinks in a bit more just how sad this situation is. But it doesn't get, just sort of encapsulated in a single moment the way that it often does in other episodes. So the whole thing it's a really interesting examination of grief and of trying to process grief and how do you move forward? How much do you hold on to? Is it healthy to hold on? Is it healthy to move forward? Which way does human nature go? And is that good for us? All these things are in there. And I feel like the level of escalation as it built up was done really well. Initially, when we got the actual artificial body, I got skeptical because honestly, I was kind of getting really interested in her sort of connecting so firmly with this AI, through the voice, through the text, and there was something about that like I was getting this vibe of she was gonna be in this kind of weird, permanent, long-distance relationship with somebody who was dead. And I kind of found that really intriguing. And then there was part of me that was going, did they overstep actually giving him a body? But then they took it in directions that it actually does work. Because there's a couple things that happen. And the first is that he actually oddly becomes less convincing as Ash once he's there and you're seeing him, as opposed to just certainly the text or even just the voice. There's something about seeing him sort of have his moments of, did I do that right? Where when you're just hearing it, you're like, oh, okay. But when he kind of just goes blank face and is seeking guidance for what he's supposed to be doing, that really does make it seem far less real. And then initially when she's with him for the first time and she begins connecting with him so hard, that becomes just, again, very sad because you're like, it's so blindingly obvious that he's not the real thing. And then the little things start to crack through. It's a bit of an Uncanny Valley effect, or at least I feel like that's what they were evoking. He's so close to being Ash. He is so close, but it's all the little things. It's the fact that he has to stop and check about how he should be responding whenever there's something going on that he doesn't have a frame of reference for based off the guy's social media footprint. And it's all these little things, these little nuances. He's got all this, but then he's missing that. And, the whole Uncanny Valley thing of the closer it is to being precise, the more every single miss just stands out all the more. And it's off-putting, and it becomes off-putting for her. And as that moved along, and this, like so many Black Mirror episodes, the ending really does solidify everything beautifully. The whole thing with, this daughter who has, in a way, gotten to know her father, which is oddly sweet, and her daughter seems to be way more at peace with what the reality of the situation is than Martha is. But at the same time, it is kind of, on and off putting, but just the fact that he's up in the attic. And especially coming off what happened before, because when they were at that cliff edge and she was telling him to jump and he said he would, and then she said, no, You should be scared. And then he was, very convincingly. Like, that was a point where, like, he started being scared and like, that's really artificial. But then he really started to get a grip on it as he saw its impact on her. And I was like, oh God, it went to black. And I thought that was it. I thought it was going to end like not being clear if she let him jump, if he jumped, if she jumped with him. I thought it was just done there. So coming off of that moment to then the revelation that he didn't jump, but he's in the attic. The same as the pictures that this guy's mother had put up there of her other son, of her husband, when they passed away, because you love them too much to get rid of the memory, but you also can't look at it anymore. And it's just that push and pull of not wanting to let go, but not being able to deal with the pain of trying to hold on, and that very human nature push-pull conflict of what you want and what does and doesn't work, and now solidified in a walking, talking entity that's in her attic. It's just so melancholy and just so sad. Like I said, this one doesn't go for the... I mean, there are moments that are a little unnerving, but it doesn't go for the disturbing. It doesn't go for the unsettling. It doesn't go for that sinking sense of dread that I sometimes get from Black Mirror. It just goes for sad. And it uses this imaginary technology to really explore how hard it is to let go, how hard it is to move on. It's an exploration of a human response to something horrible that sometimes happens to people. And it's done really well. It could have been really gimmicky. It could have been really, cheesy and really overly blunt or overly pointed, because, like I said, it's an exploration of grief. It doesn't seem to have a definitive statement on it, but it is a wonderful encapsulation and an exploration of a slightly exaggerated, but at the same time very realistic reality of what grief feels like. And, someone's gone and you want them to still be there, but they're not. And you hold on to whatever it is that you've got around you that reminds you of them, but then it's not actually them. And you can't bring yourself to get rid of it, but you can't look at it anymore. It's a wonderful exploration and analogy and embodiment and literalization of what so many people have to go through. It's just really well done. And it feels kind of low-key compared to some other Black Mirror episodes, but this is good stuff. As this show has always been for everything that I've seen up to this point, which, again, all of season 4, all of season 1, now starting season 2. So I've got this one to go through, then I've got season 3, and then I'm done, and that'll be a little sad. But for right now, be right back. Did you see it? What were your thoughts on it? Whatever they were, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. There's all those things you can do. Things like support me on Patreon, or follow me on Twitter, or listen to my podcast. Links for all that stuff is down in the description. So until next time, this council is adjourned.